Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Okay, all right, we'll get rocking and rolling then. Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Really excited. We've not just got one guest, but two guests today. And these guys are a wealth of knowledge. They've been not only in our shoes as PMPs or working inside of these different organizations, but they've been in distribution for the last decade plus as well. And so I'm very, very excited for some of the things that they will share with us as it relates to just what the heck is going on at the pump and with price increases and inflation, and how we can work together as partners to be able to save, spread out some of that cost, buy at the right time, all those kinds of things. Before we get too far into it, though, this episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by my company, Moxie Pest Control. We are definitely growing, so grateful to be doing so. The last several years have been fantastic growth years for us. We've learned a lot. We are just layering on, this sounds bureaucratic, but we're layering on really capable, competent layers of employees and management to be able to help us with this growth so that it's sustained. Part of the way that we've been doing that and growing is via acquisition. And so we've done a handful of deals this year, many, the last 4, 5, 6 years. We're gaining a competency in it. And so if you or anyone out there that's listening have got 4, 5, 6 plus trucks on the road, we're really targeting the residential general pest, $500,000 or more in revenue. Multiples, they're not at an all-time high anymore. They're still very, very high though. I would love to have that conversation with you if you're interested in doing the beach more, working less, or golfing more, working less, whatever it may be. You can call me directly or text me directly on my cell. It's 480-254-9730. Or you can email me directly at clark@moxiepestcontrol.com. I'd love to have those conversations. We've got Tom and Jim on. Like I said, they have just a wealth of knowledge. I really enjoyed the last 5-10 minutes getting to know both of them, and I'm very grateful for the time that they're carving out of their days to spend with me and with each one of you and the audience. Why don't we go ahead and kind of get to know one another and introduce each other. Tom, if we could start with you, tell us a little bit of your background. You've been a little bit more used to working in, as it relates to pest control, with larger companies, and have been in distribution for, I think, about 14 plus years or so now. Tell us a little bit about some of your path.
Yeah, definitely. Tom Algeo, East Coast boy, driven.
Comes out in the accent.
It does, yeah. How you doing? Exactly. Definitely have a good career overall. Started with Orkin, worked my way, through the channels up, from branch up to a region. Got lucky enough to jump over to a company called Residex in the distribution arm. They were eventually acquired by Target. Took a little hiatus and went over to Controlled Solutions and learned a lot about manufacturing, and now have been back with Target for a little over 2 years. So combined, you're looking at probably 30 years of experience between pest control and also through distribution. And the pest control company was Orkin. If Orkin does anything good, their management development class or curriculum is top notch. So I give them kudos for that.
And little guys like me and others like to, Terminex this, Orkin this. Look, you don't become bajillion-dollar companies with bajillions of employees by being terrible and not good at that sort of thing. And so, while they're the 800-pound gorillas in the room or industry, I mean, my goodness gracious, you can't argue with the size and scale and scope and breadth of what they've done and continue to do. By the way, every single day, it's not like they're not continuing to grow and continuing to evolve. So what a first-rate, first-class organization to be able to work with.
Totally agree. I mean, like you said, you can knock them for certain things, maybe on the service side of things, but having structure, having foundation, and training their management staff is definitely, A+.
Wonderful. Tom, thank you. Jim, tell us a little bit about you. What's been your background?
My name is Jim Hearity. I'm from Pennsylvania. I started out in the industry 1996. I started as a termite drill man working for my best friend's parents' company, and kind of worked my way through the ranks there. I rode along with the guy that was getting ready to retire, and I think I rode with him for 2 years. And they didn't want to lose customers, due to his retirement. So I slid in as a maintenance technician. Then I was a utility man, salesperson, and then I guess they had aspirations to grow that business and open up other branches. So I had to learn how to work the office. So I was an office manager for a year, sales manager, operations manager. I think I wore a lot of hats. Spent 15 and a half years there, learned a ton when I was there, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time. Company grew, where I never thought it would grow to. Had 3 locations, 80 plus employees. It was a lot of fun. And went over to Residex, and then Residex was purchased by Target Specialty Products. When I was at Residex, I was a salesperson, covered northern New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and I was smart enough to take a management role. I should have stayed in sales. So I managed the Northeast for us, from Boston to Virginia to Pittsburgh. Worked for Tom. I've worked for Tom now for 10 years. Some good days, some bad days, I'm sure, but great place to work. I think what I love most about my job is, I get to talk to companies that I worked for, like the same size as the family owned business, and could kind of help them through the way. I talked to a lot of $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, up to $38 million. So it's a fun job, and there's no better industry than what we're in. It's a great industry.
Well, and speaking of the growth that you experienced over that 15-year period at your friend's folks company, it is staggering and really healthy growth during that whole time, from a few $100,000 to several $1 million. And what a exciting thing to be a part of. I mean, nothing is stagnant. It's always more trucks, more employees, more equipment, more customers, more more issues, more things to work through. I can't help but say, it sounds, Jim and Tom, like your relationship. It sort of sounds like what my brother says about his relationship with his wife, his marriage. I've been married for 15 years, and a couple of them have been happy. I always tease him about that.
I think the common goal is we seriously take our customers and what their profitability, their business model, their strategic growth, and we take that, honestly, with vigor, that we want them to succeed. And we've seen a lot of companies that we've worked with in the past 10 years that have been purchased, and there is some pride there when you took a company from $1 million or $2 million, and Jim knows exactly a few of them I'm speaking about, that now they have sold to a Terminex, an Orkin, an Andicemex for $10 million, $12 million. And you knew you did something to help them build that business to that point. And then now, as you mentioned earlier, they're either golfing, fishing, or they're just sitting at home watching, CNN or Fox News. So good for them. But there is some pride that it's more than just selling them a product. And that's the part I think we both appreciate. And that's why we work together well.
I get once a week pictures from some PMPs that are sitting on the beach saying, "Wish you were here." I wish I was too.
That makes 2 of us. Fly me down to that beach. Get me out of Pennsylvania. And that's what we'll kind of get into for the kind of bulk of this. Fox, CNN. We don't need to look any further than our social feeds or the news to know that the last year, 2 years, it has not been super kind, and it's not been kind at the pump. It's not been kind as it relates to inflation in general. It's not been kind as it relates to employee wages. And don't get me wrong when I say I'm all about paying people more, but that money comes from somewhere. And so, we've got our big annual holiday party tonight for all of our employees. There's going to be 125 to 150 people there. we're not doing it outside in a park. We're doing it at a place. We're providing gifts. We're providing food. There's real costs associated with those things. And I know that there's some PMPs that are maybe not freaking out, but just saying, my goodness gracious, what do we do? How can we tighten up the belt straps while giving employees what they need and want, customers what they need and want? And so I would love to just maybe hear each of your thoughts on some of those things and and I couldn't agree more, professionally here in Phoenix, in my location, I shared with the both of you, we use Target. We love you guys. It's a fantastic relationship. And it's not all price based at all. There are, just because you have two products and one's $1 and one's 80 cents, there is a very real thing that can happen when you choose the same product, but the one that's marked down to 80 cents, that you're getting a worse option. The product's the same, but it may not be the same level of service. There may not be the same support behind it. It may not be delivered in the same way, or those kinds of things. And so I don't know who wants to go first, but maybe speak to some of those things. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, none of us can challenge or change inflation. It's going to happen. So all of our partners, our customers are faced with gas prices fluctuating, going up. They're faced with insurances going up, labor costs are going up. We can't change that. But you can look at your business model and say, how are my routes? Are my routes tight? Am I using technology? There are different things out there that are technology driven. I'll give you an example. Like Bell Labs has their sensing products that if you're doing a lot of rodents, maybe you would use that because that would save you time. It'll allow you to, effectively get more services done. So I challenge anybody on this call to reach out to any Target sales rep or office and ask for their help, because there are ways of looking at your strategy, your company, and knowing that you're going to have these various costs is going to go up, how you can counter that. I think Jim mentioned earlier that it's tough for a PMP to raise their price every year. But one way a PMP can help their cause is look at your offerings, your services that you are presenting to your marketplace. Can you add more? Can you add ticks? Can you add mosquitoes? Because the more services, one, you can offer, one, your technicians staying in the same place, you're making more profitability off of that stop. And number two, it allows for more referrals, more business in that same community. And more importantly, you're not wasting route time driving from point A to point B because you're staying in that location. And the big kicker is most customers, it is harder for them to cancel you or think about it when they have a bundled service or multiple services, because they're saying, well, I got them for pest control. I got them for the termite warranty. I got them for mosquitoes. To them, you are just a utility. And I happen to live in Florida, and you have to have pest control in the southern states because the insects are 24/7, 12 months a year. So I don't consider that any different than my electric bill or my water bill. It is just a bill. Now, but how you go to the marketplace, how you train your technicians, on the various services that you offer, that's where you can start to push back or help your profitability over the things that your costs are going up that none of us have any control over.
Tom, thank you. Jim, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he hit a lot of great points. You hit the nail on the head. What you have to be able to control what you can control in your business. Number one, the biggest problem with a lot of owner operators that might have multiple employees, they don't really keep an eye on their wage percentage. Wage percentage is key. And I did a lot of mentorships with a lot of people with Western backgrounds, and Western it was different. It was like, early 90s IBM type guys. Like they knew everything, wage percentage. They knew, how much was going in their tanks, how much they were spending. They knew their offices. They were sharp as sharp could be. So wage percentage, number one. I think that's something that you have to look at on a monthly basis and really try and drill that down, because you could either see that your wage percentage is too high, or employees are tough to come by. You got to make sure that your wage percentage is in line, that you're not too low. Um, rule of thumb always used to be, and Tom, you could jump in. Rule of thumb was anywhere from 20 to 23%. That may have changed now with inflation. People are getting paid a higher wage, but that was always that sweet spot: 23% of their gross sales, or their production rather.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit higher now because all wages. It's what, like you mentioned, Jim. It is so hard to find employees. I wish we had that magic wand where we could just have a bank of employees. But then you have to us, we challenge our customers or the PMPs. Then look at your business and what makes the most sense routing wise. That if you did anything, routing your business will help you save money and put more profitability down.
Well,
Right on.
and someone that both of you mentioned, Dan Gordon, as a resource, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't already, if you're specifically in the pest space. I think that his firm just does pest stuff, at least for now. But he was actually on the podcast last year, maybe it was the year before. He put out a case study that I've been wanting to see for years, that I knew someone had to have created, but it will really help you with some of those things that Tom and Jim are talking about. I'll try my best to summarize this, but essentially they took all their clients at Dan's accounting firm. They threw out a couple of the big ones. They threw out a couple of the really small ones. I think it was a study of about 147 or 157 PMPs. And then they divided it by that same amount to be able to say, hey, in a normal company or with all of these, we've got about a $2 million pest control company. And it looks like whatever percent is residential general pest, whatever percent is termite, whatever percent is, specialty or one time or one off or whatever. And then it said, hey, you should want your cost of goods sold to be within this range. You should want your admin labor to be within this range. You should want your marketing budget to be within this range. And if you do these things, then you'll look to be able to perhaps grow 5 or 10%, and you might have 5 or 10% or 15% left over at the end of the year. And so, again, I would encourage anyone that hasn't looked at that already to look at that. It's a wonderful benchmark. I don't think that Dan would claim that it'll work exactly the way for you as it has for a lot of his clients, but it is a fantastic resource to see and to look at, to say, are we above average here or below average here or whatever. And I know that at Target and a variety of different places, there are so many free resources that are offered to be able to help either save or different rebates. Could you guys speak to some of those things, or tips and tricks is overused, but just some strategy that you help your clients or PMPs utilize so that they can either buy in bulk and save 20%, or what do some of those things look like?
Yeah, I'll let Jim go first on that one. But just one thing, the PCO bookkeepers, just go on his website. Dan will help you out. I mean, we utilize him a lot, through our silo, I guess you could call it, for, webinars, also for lunch and learns, because he is an asset for us. If he can help certain key businesses grow, put their accounting correctly, then indirectly we get, them to buy through us. So it's a good and great relationship for us both. I'll let Jim elaborate a little bit more on, the question you asked, though.
Yeah, with using Target as a resource for PMPs, number one, an educational resource. Where you're at in Arizona, I mean, you have 2 great sales reps, good sales manager out there. They're always doing educational seminars. Take advantage of those educational seminars. If you need help with something that's not covered in that area, I mean, we're the only distributor right now with 2 BCEs on staff that provide educational CEUs and training. Heather Alonso, I mean, She worked for some of the biggest pest control companies out there, wrote SOPs. She could help you with SOPs. She could help you with, simple bug IDs, different things like that. That's one of the added value services. One of the other things, that you mentioned was, saving money or buying at, I always call it buying at the right time. It's almost like walking into the grocery store and getting the weekly flyer. PMP should always be looking at our monthly flyer. Our monthly flyer is fantastic because you have vendor funded deals out there, right? So a lot of those deals are very good. They're exclusive deals. And if that deal is $1 off a can of aerosol, that's a pretty good deal. $1.50 is even a better deal. $2, even better deal. You have to drill down and say, how many am I going to use for the next 6 months, and buy that next 6 months? Now, that's easier said than done. A lot of people don't have that capital, but if you work with a sales rep might be able to, help you out and get you some terms or some other help with that. Take the terms, put it on a credit card, you got an extra 30 days. You know what I mean? So you have 60 days to pay that off and chip away at that little by little. BASF will run a promotion twice a year. It's their annual Termidor promotion. If you use Termidor or Traylona, that's a great time to buy. Buy in the spring, buy in the fall. Notoriously, the spring deal, correct me if I'm wrong here, spring deal was better this year than the fall deal, but you have to buy that at the right time. Control Solutions, a lot of people didn't even realize they had a phenomenal rebate program this year, where if you bought their products by the case, all you had to do was upload your invoices to their website, and you got $25, $50 a case back to you in gift cards that, Austin, you could have took to your Christmas party tonight and started handing them out like they were candy. You know what I mean? So FMC True Champions, and another great rebatable program out there. A lot of people don't realize we enrolled PMPs. If you bought an FMC product from us, we enrolled you into that program. So you're already in there. You get rebated every time that you buy an FMC product. And then kind of like the crown jewel of rebate programs is the PP 365 program from Syngenta. You have a great qualifying period. You had an early order period that just ended on December 8th, I believe. But you can qualify for that program all the way up through April. And then every time that you buy a Syngenta product, from April to October 1st, you're getting rebated every time you buy that product. So a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of free money out there, and you should utilize those rebatable programs or those special programs to formulate your buys. Now, you said before, using a product that might be 20 cents cheaper. Tom makes a chocolate cake, I make a chocolate cake. I believe mine is better. We might not use the same ingredients. So not everything is the same thing. It's all preference. Some people like a different IGR than another IGR. That's decisions that you have to make with your sales rep. Reach out to and whether you do business with us or any of the other distributors, you should have a working relationship with that sales rep and talk about the pros and cons of each product that's out there.
Can I have one thing too?
Sure.
Your statement,
Please do,
Jim,
Tom. Yeah.
is I'm making the assumption everybody will be listening to this has been in business for more than 1 year. So there's no excuse here. After your fiscal year is done, go to your distributor who you're using and ask them to give you an itemized list of all the products that you bought by month so that you can actually look at it and see, as Jim mentioned, match that trend with what deals go on in the marketplace. Because usually the bell curve of pest pressure and the bell curve of buying product are usually aligned pretty close to each other. And that's one thing. I don't care if you're a $250,000 PMP or you're a $25 million. That is one of the biggest areas that they make mistakes, is they don't look at what did they historically buy the year before and then match up what their plan is for the next year to take, as Jim mentioned, advantage of a monthly deal or a BASF, a PP365, or a CSI. They don't match up that. And a lot of times they're late to the game because they didn't. And most of this will take you, 15 minutes to look at what you bought, your primary products over a fiscal year. So we highly encourage, whether you use us or use any other distributor out there, ask for that report so you get a trend of what you purchased the year before.
Jim, thank you. Tom, thank you. I can't emphasize enough, especially Tom, what you just said there at the end. Look, this is a 10, 15, 20-minute investment of time to look at some of that data and analyze it and decide, hey, this is what we did the last year. This is when we bought. This is when we used it. We plan to grow 10% next year, or 20 or 30 or whatever it is. We know that we're not changing products really. We've got our SOPs that are there in place. Let's overlap our purchasing with, the spring promotions, the fall promotions. Let's negotiate and work with our reps to be able to, if we need payment plans, maybe that's an option. If we can have a net 30 or a net 60, maybe that's an option. If it's important for people that are listening to store it at their manufacturer's facility, maybe that's an option. Maybe it's not. I don't want to speak for anybody, but I know that we value the relationship that we've got with Robert so much. He's been so helpful and really a true partner in allowing us to be able to grow. And look, I don't care who you are. $25 is $25, $50 is $50. And if those are the types of savings that you're experiencing as a $250,000 company, well, you multiply that by 4 or 5 when you're $1 million company, and you multiply that by 40 times or 50 times when you're a $10 million company. And so how is it then that you can take that money that you're already spending and use it to reinvest to continue to grow your company, or reinvest in employees and employee care and those kinds of things? The other thing too is, and you guys aren't going to like to hear this so much, but as far as cash flow goes, look, I mean, collect money quickly and pay your bills slowly. Don't get in any kind of trouble or go delinquent or anything like that. But if you want to improve your short-term cash, and you can negotiate a 30-day payment or terms, or 60-day or whatever that might be, it is always good, as long as you're not accruing ridiculous interest, to be able to spread those out or make those payments 30 days later or 60 days later or whatever have you. And so thank you both so much for being on and for your time. This went by way too fast. We need to do it again, but I want to give the final word to the both of you. If there's people that are listening, whether they're in your market or not, or say, hey, this analysis sounds great, I've got a relationship, but is that something that Tom could help me out with, or Jim could help me out with? Well, what is the best way for each of you, for people that are listening that may reach out, to continue the conversation?
So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. My email is Jim, Jim, Hearity, Hearity, at target-specialty.com. I can be reached at 484-866-7633. And my final word is, for PMPs that are looking to save money in 2022, mostly everybody has spoke to their accountant by now, and they will tell you if you need to spend money, or else your tax exposure could go up. It's probably a good time to buy certain key items, because the increase train is not stopping. So be prepared to see increases in January of anywhere from 3 to 12%. So it is a very, very, very good time to buy. That's all I have.
Jim, thank you so much. Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it really, really simple. www.targetspecialty.com.
Yeah.
And start with working with your rep in your area. On there, we'll show our 45 warehouse locations. Start there. Every one of them has a direct line to Jim and me, because that's the person that will be out in the field. We will 100% support everyone, but I would rather you work with your rep out that way. If you need to call me, it's Tom Algeo, and it's 407-461-3277. But your best bang for your buck is to work with your local rep in your territory. And as Jim mentioned, take advantage of everything that you possibly can, because eventually it all hits the bottom line. So we're encouraged when people do take advantage of our deals and specials, whether it's throughout the year or the end of the year, because everybody's winning. The manufacturer's winning, distribution's winning, and you as a PMP, you're winning.
Wonderful. Tom, thank you so much. Jim, thank you so much. And thank you for all of you who took time out of your day to patch in and listen. Share this with people that may benefit from it, like it, all those things that you do that lets the internet know that it's good, and we can keep producing this sort of stuff. Until next time, create a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.